Hey everybody, Some Gadget Guy here, and I'm really excited about this one today. We are reviewing the Kodak PIXPRO SP1 Digital Action Cam. Now, I recently reviewed Kodak's AZ522 Super Zoom camera. This is a very traditional point-and-shoot style long zoom camera. But JK Imaging, the people who sort of rescued the Kodak brand out of Chapter 11, have been iterating on a bunch of other different product lines. And this is the one that I think is going to be really exciting for a lot of people. This is a waterproof, drop-proof, dust-proof, freeze-proof, wireless 1080p 14 megapixel shooter that you can take on all of your adventures. So, I mean, already I've said way too much. Let's get into the camera. We got to get rid of this box. And here's the PIXPRO SP1. All right, this is the SP1. This is Kodak's attempt at making something a little bit more of a GoPro style action adventure camera. Now, they're not claiming that this is a high adventure setup like GoPro, but it is built really rugged and really exacting, and so it'll take a lot of abuse. But they're trying to position this more for families that like to get out there, have a lot of fun, go do fun, adventurous things, putting this camera in a kid's hand, letting them run off, go jump into a swimming pool or jump into a lake, drop it on some rocks, or, you know, chuck it up in the air for no good reason. Looking at the top panel right here, we have very standard control layout. We've got a power button right there, a menu key, a playback key, an OK selector switch, and then a very large, big red button just to get you into the action and recording video and taking stills as easily as possible. The lens setup on the SP1 is super wide. It's almost a fisheye style lens, so that it's going to try and capture as much action and as much of the scene as it possibly can. This front piece allows for different types of lens covers to be employed. And so right now I've got the waterproof lens cover on, but we can turn this dial, pop it off. You can get a really nice sort of naked view of the camera lens there. And we can pop on sort of their more normal lens cover. Now this lens cover has these little outcroppings which help with glare. I just think it's really cool that Kodak has provided sort of different usage scenarios, and maybe they'll even be coming out with accessories for this where you might be able to put on, you know, maybe more of a telephoto lens or some other sort of adapter so that you can put on filters. Again, it's a nice modular setup, and I'm glad to see Kodak giving you a little flexibility. And under that lens setup, we've got mics and speakers so that you can hear what you've recorded and that you can get, you've got decent audio capabilities on this. Again, a camera like this isn't necessarily going to be production grade audio, but I feel for most of what you would use this style camera for, you get better than average sound out of these, especially compared to, say, the last generation of what we would consider an action cam, like flip camera style cameras. This is far and away better than any of those other solutions that I've used. On the bottom, we've got a standard metal tripod mount, and this is bolted in there. It's really solid. I've attached this to a number of different devices, and we're going to talk about the accessories that Kodak is going to make available for this too. So you have all kinds of really creative mounting solutions that you can pop this SP1 onto, from dashboard mounts to handlebar mounts, and or even just a traditional, regular, old school tripod. You can pop it on there. And playing into the ruggedness on the SP1, you have dual locks preventing this back cover from letting in any water. So when we unlock from here and then we pop this door down, we have access to the rechargeable lithium-ion battery. We have an HDMI out port, which is just really cool. I mean, you can plug this thing directly into a TV and see all of your fun, adventurous stuff on a big screen. It uses a micro SD card right there so that you can pop this out. What's kind of cool about that is if you have a phone or a tablet which supports micro SD cards, it gives you just sort of another, it gives you a little more flexibility in how you move photos and videos over. So maybe you pull the memory card, put it into your phone, and you can immediately be uploading video to YouTube or photos to Instagram directly from your data-enabled device. And just flipping it around, the last side that we've got to look at, we've got a really nice little display here so that we can frame shots and we can watch what we've shot from the camera if we need to. Right now, I'm just sort of showing you video of my arm. That's not very exciting. It's a really, really nice package to go out and have fun doing crazy things and shooting video of it. Okay, so just getting into the various like menus that you can play with, we have sort of a mode setting here if we want to control going back and forth between the video and the photo settings. We've got general settings. This is where you go and control, like, formatting your memory card. There is some built-in storage on the SP1. You can move files back and forth between the card and the camera. And then we've got the wireless access point settings. This has Wi-Fi built into it so that you can control the SP1 wirelessly from your phone or tablet, which is super cool. You can get into the still photography settings and the movie settings. Just looking at some of the movie settings. We can go as low as WVGA at 120 frames per second. Oh, whoops, hit the wrong button. We can do WVGA at 60 frames per second, 720p at 30 frames per second, 720p at 60 frames per second if you want smoother video action, but most of us are probably just gonna stick with, a 960. I didn't know that we had sort of an in-betweener. So I think this is 1440 by 960, and that'll go up to 50 frames per second. Again, giving you almost HD, full HD, but then also giving you smoother action. And then all of my samples were shot 1080p at 30 frames per second. We can control what the aspect ratio is. We can go down to a 5 megapixel image if we just want something that's easier to share. We can do a 10 megapixel image so that it's super widescreen, 16 by 9, and then the full 14 megapixel image for full stills. It's going to be a slightly squarer frame, but you'll get all of the resolution on that image sensor. And then one of the cool things is when you're in the main viewfinder view, you can quickly toggle between video and stills just by hitting that selector button that I showed you before. So now you can see this is a 14 megapixel image and it's using all of the frame, and I can flip that back into 1080p video and you can see it's letterboxing just a little right there. Okay, we're firing up the Wi-Fi on the PIXPRO, and I'm gonna come into my LG G2. We're gonna go to our wireless networks, see if we can find the PIXPRO wireless signal. It takes a little while for this to fire up. It's not the fastest. Oh, there it is. So we're gonna connect to that. So now I'm not connected, and we see the PIXPRO just switched over. So now I'm gonna come into my PIXPRO app. We should be able to see what the camera sees. And for how quickly Kodak was able to build this all up, the app is surprisingly good. Here, we're just gonna drop this in a glass of water. Man, that's awesome. And of course, the PIXPRO is waterproof to 10 meters. So the little screen's gone off. We don't need to keep the screen on because we now have a remote viewfinder where we can control all of the settings of the PIXPRO from our phone. And actually, I'm starting to run out of battery life on the PIXPRO. We can switch between, if I bump the table, you can see the water moving around. You can also see how wide angle this is with the PIXPRO pointing up. It's catching just the upper edge of my blankets up there. But I can jump into video. I can switch to stills. I can go and play back content that's saved on the PIXPRO directly from this interface. And I can control other things like what my resolution and my frame rate is. If I want to be shooting super wide, you can dial in the wide angleness. It doesn't really prevent that warping. This is a wide angle lens, but you can kind of narrow it down just a little bit. And then you can see how much time is left to record on the PIXPRO using that micro SD card that's built in. When the first time we brought it out, I was driving around in my car and we had it bolted to the windshield so we couldn't see the viewfinder right there. So I had my wife fire up her Galaxy S4, load the app, we connected it over Wi-Fi, and she was able to control everything on the PIXPRO while I was driving the car. And actually, you know what? Let's take a look at some footage shot from the PIXPRO SP1, just so you can see what the quality of the little camera sensor is built in. Yeah, folks, I'm really stoked about this little camera, and that Kodak really has taken consideration to building out something which will have a surprisingly high degree of survivability. Dust-proof, freeze-proof, waterproof, and not waterproof like most of our other gadgets where it's like waterproof to 2.5 feet for about 5 minutes and then you need to pull it out. No, this thing is waterproof to 10 meters. That's over 30 feet. So you can go and take it snorkeling or maybe even scuba diving depending on how adventurous you want to get. Just so you can see how big the PIXPRO actually is. This is my old Toshiba. It's sort of a flip cam style waterproof camera. And you can see, it fits very easily in my tiny girly little hands. That sort of, I'm gonna hold it up like this, sort of shooting style. And you can see, it's smaller than the Toshiba. It's a little bit thicker than the Toshiba, but you get far more capability out of this Kodak than what we used to use for this kind of consumer handy cam. Compared to a more point and shoot style camera, you can see this Kodak is tiny. I mean, again, it's meant to be connected to, bolted to, slipped into situations that it's not gonna stick out. It's not gonna get in your way. You can kind of set it, start shooting video and forget about it and then go get on with whatever adventure that you want to partake in. And Kodak is already thinking ahead with the SP1. It's not out yet, but they are going to be releasing an accessories package so that you can mount your SP1 to all kinds of different setups. And, thankfully, Kodak happened to send one my way so we can at least take a look at what's going to be in that accessories kit. So how I got those driving plates from the video test was with their handy dandy little windshield mount here, which features an adjustable ball and socket joint. So you can connect using that camera tripod mount to then dial in specifically the kind of angle that you want to see for your video when it's connected to something like a glass windshield. They also have a vented helmet setup. So if you have like a bicycle helmet or a motorcycle helmet with vents, you can feed these loops through those vents and connect the SP Pro that way. And we'll also be getting a really nice handlebar mount so that you can connect this to a bicycle or maybe even to a motorcycle, depending on how your motorcycle's set up. But what's funny is that I've already used this on a microphone boom pole so that I can get really sweeping high angle shots, almost like if I had like my own personal crane shot. It's just a lot of fun to play with. They've really put a lot of consideration into this. They're going to include a couple of adhesive mounts, one that's curved and one that's flat, so you can stick these using a 3M adhesive pad onto some kind of surface or use these vents to strap it down onto some kind of surface. And they even include a surfboard mount. Now this is like those other small sticky ones, but it uses a much wider surface area so that you can stick it to the front of a surfboard, pop your SP1 in there, and then get really cool shots of you going through the pipe. And lastly, we even have a head strap. This thing is not the most comfortable thing in the world, but it's got a little padding right there, and then you can bolt the SP1 sort of sideways, and then it kind of makes you look like you're Borg or you're going splunking or something, but you can get that really great, almost Google Glass style, eye level video shot so that people can see your perspective, your field of view. So no word yet on what the entire accessories package is going to go for. That will be separate from the SP1. You will have to buy that separately. But considering how cost or wallet friendly the SP1 is, I wouldn't expect this to be prohibitively expensive. The manufacturer's suggested retail on this little guy is going to be $179. Which for all of the capabilities, the wireless shooting, the ruggedness, the waterproofing, and all of those video settings, is a remarkably decent price point to get yourself into some fun adventure GoPro style photography. This has been one of my favorite finds so far of this year. So Kodak, I'm really happy to see you back in the market. And folks, this is the Kodak SP1 with the SP1 accessories kit. I'll put links down at the bottom where you can find more info on this. As always, folks, thanks so much for watching. Of course, I always appreciate people out there sharing, leaving comments, subscribing to my channel. You guys make it so much easier for me to talk about this stuff, get into really cool conversations and debates, and I will catch you all on the next review.